Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. In this episode, let's talk about a super bike from Giant, and it's going to be Giant Propel Advanced one for the 2022 season. But before we start, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and hit that little like button because it's going to help in growing the channel. And of course, if you are already a subscriber, then definitely thank you. So, Giant Propel Advanced 1. Let's first answer the question, who is this bike for? So you see, Giant Propel platform is all about heavily aerodynamically optimized road bikes. So very low drag and going as fast as possible in a straight line. So if you are in the market for this type of the bike, so you want to go as fast as possible in a straight line with minimum drag, then definitely have a look at the Giant Propel Advanced 1. When we talk about the paint scheme on this bike, there is this beautiful they call it rosewood, so I would call it almost like a metallic silver with a hint of black. Looks absolutely stunning, and I definitely wouldn't have any problems in riding a bike with this paint scheme. But again, I have to mention, since the retail price is $5,200 or 3,700 British pounds, it is definitely not a cheap bike. So I wish that the Giant at least offered another paint scheme on this level of the bike. But it is what it is. Usually a lot of bike manufacturers will limit you with a certain paint schemes that are available for a certain type of the bike. So now we can dive into the specifications of this bike, and we can really see what you get for your hard-earned $5,200 or approximately 3,700 British pounds. As always, we can kick off with the frame and the fork on this bike. So we have a advanced grade carbon fiber frame and the fork, where the fork is also with the carbon fiber steerer and the Giant's own overdrive 2 steerer. This carbon fiber frame and the fork, of course, internal cable routing, flat mount disc brakes, and 12mm through axles, both front and the back. I have to mention here that Giant offers a lifetime warranty on their carbon fiber frames and the forks, so definitely you shouldn't have any problems with this carbon fiber frame and the fork. And again, Giant is an expert in making high quality carbon fiber frames and forks. So when it comes to frame and the fork, I absolutely have no complaints here. It's a perfect system from Giant. Now let's talk about some of the smaller pieces like handlebar and the stem. So the stem is the Giant Contact SL Aero stem, and handlebar is also Giant Contact SL handlebar. Both of these pieces are aluminum pieces, perfectly fine in my book, no complaints about it. And the good thing here is that these two pieces are separate pieces, so handlebar and the stem, so it's going to be easy to replace in the future if you ever need to or you want to upgrade. And also when you are setting your position on the bike, it's going to be very nice and easy to set up your position. I'll just mention here that a lot of people are complaining that this stem has a very ugly design, which probably is true, but you have to keep in mind that this is all because of the heavily aerodynamically optimized design of this bike. And this is probably a stem that came out with some computer modeling that's the most optimized for this type of the bike. So as I said, handlebar and the stem, both aluminum pieces, separate pieces, perfectly fine, no complaints here. Seat post on the bike is a carbon fiber Giant Vector seat post, superb addition because it's going to soak up so much of the road bumps. When we talk about the saddle is from Giant, so this is the Giant Fleet SL saddle. I'm sure that this saddle is going to be perfectly fine, but in case you don't like this saddle, it's very easy to replace the saddle because saddles as usual are a personal preference. Now let's talk about the group set on this bike, which is definitely one of the secret sauces of this bike. So you are getting a wireless group set from SRAM. So it's going to be a SRAM Rival ETAP XS group set. So 12-speed wireless group set. So shifters, front mech and the rear mech, everything is SRAM Rival ETAP wireless, and all of these components communicate wirelessly with each other. And of course, using the SRAM own mobile app, you can adjust a lot of parameters when it comes to the shifting performance. This is a 12-speed group set from SRAM. It's going to work perfectly fine. It's a superb wireless group set. So definitely, I have no complaints about this wireless group set. When we talk about the braking system on the bike, you are getting hydraulic disc brakes from SRAM Rival hydraulic disc brakes, and SRAM Paceline rotors. 160mm braking rotor at the front, and unfortunately only 140mm braking rotor at the back. This is a big disappointment in my opinion. I have no clue why Giant would put 140mm braking rotor at the back, because after all, this is a Aero road bike, so you can easily achieve like 50 km per hour on this bike. So both braking rotors should have been 160mm front and the back. You want good heat dissipation, you want good stopping power. So the first thing I would do if you buy this bike is destroy this 140mm braking rotor as soon as you can, by braking of course, and then just buy yourself a 160mm braking rotor. SRAM Paceline is fine, and just put it on the back. You really want good heat dissipation from these braking rotors. Now let's talk about the cassette and the chain on this bike. So the cassette is the SRAM Rival 12-speed cassette. This is a 1030 cassette. I just want to mention here that this SRAM Rival XG 1250 cassette is an absolute beautiful piece of design, but just keep in mind that when you need to replace this cassette, it will set you back 125 euros, or approximately 125 US dollars. So it's a very pricey item to replace, but again, it's a beautiful design and it's going to work perfectly. So 1030 SRAM Rival cassette at the back, paired with the SRAM Rival D1 chain, and also the crankset and the front is SRAM Rival D1, and this is 3548 chain rings. So as you see, the chain rings 3548 with 1030 cassette. Definitely everything is geared towards going as fast as possible. So if you are planning to climb some steep mountains with this bike, you might want to consider getting a bigger range on the cassette at the back. If I'm not wrong, you have a choice between, if you would buy this cassette on the open market, you can get a 1036 cassette also. So think about that if you really want an even bigger range than this. When it comes to the bottom bracket on this bike, so this is the SRAM Dub Standard bottom bracket. I can't comment too much about it because I haven't used this SRAM Dub Standard, but from what I've heard, there might be a bit more creaking noises than, for example, equivalent Shimano 105 or Shimano Ultegra level press fit bottom bracket, so just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the wheel set on this bike, which is definitely another highlight and a secret sauce of this bike. So you are getting a superb Giant SLR2 carbon fiber disc wheel set with 42mm rim at the front and 65mm rim height at the back. But just some highlights of this wheel set. If you were buying this wheel set on the open market, the front wheel is approximately 380 British pounds, and the rear wheel could be all the way 450 British pounds. So you see, it's a pretty pricey carbon fiber wheel set, but it's absolutely superb carbon fiber wheel set. So it comes with the Giant's hookless technology. It is tubeless ready, so 42mm rim height at the front, 65mm height at the back. Inner rim width is 19.4mm, and the hubs are from Giant. So front and rear hub, where the rear hub comes with a 3-pole system, so 32-tooth 3-pole system. This is probably some kind of a licensing from DT Swiss patent with their pole system, which is absolutely great, and I believe you won't have any problems with these hubs on this wheel set. Bearings are sealed cartridge bearings, 12mm through axles front and the back, and these wheels come with SAPIM spokes, absolutely fine, superb stuff, 24 spokes front and the back. And I will just mention that the total weight of this wheel set is probably going to be around 1,600 grams, which again, perfectly fine. This is an Aero wheel set with a deep rim, so 1,600 grams in my book, perfectly fine. When it comes to tires on this wheel set, you are getting Giant's own Gavia tires. This is Gavia AC1 tubeless tire, and this is a 25 millimeter tire, although when you pump it, it's going to be 26.5 millimeters as Giant says. You have an option in the future if you want upgrading tires to 28 millimeters. I would personally do that because this frame and the fork can take tires up to 28 mil. Personally, I would put a 28 mil tire just because you will get so much more smoother bike ride because you just have much more air volume. When it comes to the total weight of this bike, Giant doesn't specifically say it, but I would expect in some kind of size medium-large that this bike should be approximately 8.3 kilograms, somewhere between 8.3 kilograms. So definitely, not a light bike, but the whole point of this Aero road bike is to minimize the drag and to go as fast as possible in a straight line. So now in a summary, what would I suggest you? Should you buy this bike or should you just consider this bike? And also, do I have any special complaints? There is one complaint from me about this bike, and this is all about this rear braking rotor. It is only 140 millimeters, and I truly believe that Giant should have fitted 160 mil rotor. So this would be the first upgrade if I would buy this bike, because what you want is a very good braking performance and very good heat dissipation. This 140 millimeter rotor is nowhere close to the 160 millimeter braking rotors. Except from that, everything on this bike is perfectly fine, and I can definitely recommend you that if you have $5,200 US, you should definitely go ahead and buy this bike. It's going to be a superb Aero road bike, and definitely you're going to go as fast as possible in a straight line. So, I think this is going to be it for today. I hope you like what I'm doing, and if you do, please do subscribe and hit that little like button. And as always, I will see you soon in the next episode. Cheers!